I'm Tom Clark, and you're listening to Verse by Verse. Most boys enjoy wrestling. They are testing to see who is strongest or quickest, and generally it's just done in fun, and other than a skinned elbow or a bumped knee, no harm comes from it. But there is a wrestling match described in the Bible that was much more serious, and it contains a powerful lesson for you and me. You see, up until what we read in Genesis chapter 32, Jacob's habit, when things got difficult, had been to run away. After he deceived his father Isaac, with, admittedly, the help of his mother, and he stole the birthright blessing from his brother Esau, he and his mother both knew Esau was just waiting for the chance to kill him, and Jacob did everything he could to stay out of Esau's way. So after his mother planted the thought in his father Isaac's mind that Jacob needed to go to her home country and find a wife, Isaac told him to go, and Jacob quite gladly left the country to go to the land of his mother to hopefully find a wife, but more importantly, to run away from his problems. Through a series of events worthy, frankly, of the storyline of any TV soap opera show, over a period of the next 21 years, Jacob ended up with 2 wives, a whole passel of kids, and had become quite wealthy with livestock. But things became difficult and even dangerous in his relationship with his wife's father and family, and so Jacob did what he had always done when things got difficult. He packed up his family and all their things, and he ran away. He intended to return home. But he was still very concerned that the years may not have dimmed Esau's hatred toward him because of his previous deception, so he tried to placate Esau by sending gifts of animals and wealth ahead of time, and then he divided his family up so that if they were attacked, they wouldn't all be killed at the same time. He sent his family over the brook Jabbok, and he was left alone on the plain for the night. And that's when the wrestling match took place. But this was no ordinary wrestling match because it turned out Jacob was wrestling with the pre-incarnate Jesus Christ. It must have been an exhausting match because verse 24 says they wrestled all night until the sun was beginning to dawn. At that point, the Son of God touched Jacob's hip, and his hip socket came out of joint. In fact, the injury was so severe that tradition says he walked with a limp from that day on for the rest of his life. What does that teach us? A man with a severe limp can't run very fast or very far. So if he can't run away, he has no choice but to stand up and face his problems, and it seems that was part of the lesson God wanted Jacob to learn. That very night after Jacob was lamed, God actually changed his name. No longer would he be called Jacob, which means supplanter, or someone who takes the place of another through scheming and treachery. Now he was to be called Israel, which means one who struggles with God, one who strives with God. The injury that night no doubt humbled Jacob, as he could see himself more clearly in comparison to his Creator. And the limp would have been a continual reminder for the rest of his life that he could never again choose to run away from his problems rather than face up to them and work through them. Do you ever feel like running away when life gets difficult? It is natural to feel that way, but trying to run away or trying to cover the fear of facing our problems with other things, addictions like alcohol or drugs or immoral behavior, they never solve the problem. They only make them worse. Jacob found out you can't really run away from your problems, and God brought him to the point where he had to learn to stand and face them. Whatever trials or problems you will face in your life, and believe me, we all have them, take heart from this story of Jacob. It may seem that you are wrestling with all of your strength, and you may feel like you've been wrestling for such a long time with fears and worries and doubts and maybe even attacks. At those times, I think we all need to remember we can't really run away from our problems, and trying to cover them up with other things never works. But we can always turn to our Creator for the wisdom, strength, and courage we need. You see, there is one more meaning associated with the new name that God gave to Jacob. The name Israel can also mean God rules or prevail with God. Whatever trials you face in life, remember Jacob's hip and don't try to run away from them. Instead, stand firm and look to the God who rules everything, and know we can always prevail with Him. If you want to learn more about prevailing and persevering, see the links in the show notes.
If you've been enjoying Verse by Verse and want to help the show grow, here's what you can do to get the word out. Wherever you're listening, make sure to subscribe. If you're on a platform that accepts reviews and ratings, those can both make a big difference in helping other people find us. Verse by Verse is a Life, Hope, and Truth podcast. Check out the show notes to find more free content, like videos, articles, and booklets in our Learning Center.